fillies were going through the parade ring and out onto the track. Maybe a couple were on edge ever so slightly, but for race 2, they've all been, famous last words though these might be, have all been pretty impeccably behaved, but not one of them is debuting today.
No, these have all had previous experience under their belts, but they were all extremely well behaved, a bit, you know, a field of a 3-mile steeplechasers sort of wandering around, and all quite well. Interesting to note, though, that Chakoya, who I was here when she ran second 2 starts ago now, she has really strengthened up compared to when she was last year, because she was quite small and petite, pony-esque, as it were. The filly that beat her that day, Thank You Next, big in comparison. Richard Hannon filly, obviously so big, but she has definitely strengthened up quite a lot through the neck and the shoulders in her 2 months off.
That's the thing. Naturally, she's had, you know, considering how long she's obviously been in training as a racehorse. She's only a 2-year-old, and she's had a good portion of time off since we last saw her. What, the back end of July, King George meeting at Ascot?
Yeah, I mean, well, think about it. Their season started the 1st of June.
Yeah.
She raced 3 times through the end of July.
Yeah.
She's had 2 months off. She's had more time.
She's been
off as long as the season's been running, and she is really strengthened up, as we see Electric, who's your second favourite, being a bit keen and free down to the start under Oisin Murphy, who is ever vigilant in his continuation of keeping his jockey championship, although the likes of Tom Marquand et al. Are making it very exciting. It is interesting, like, you know, you've got tonight, Buick's here because he's got to be for the odd ride later on, but he's picked up spare rides throughout the card, and he's staying to the 8:30. I mean, he's properly having a go at this, and I think it's quite fun.
He takes an interesting ride up against Oisin Murphy's Electric, and actually these two have met before. I wanted to come to Adace. For William Buick, Mick Shannon, who was 5th on the debut over course and distance, 3 weeks ago. The front 3 all had the benefit of experience, and Adace, she didn't get a great start at all. She was interfered with early doors and probably deserves marking up, and they're sticking to the same track and trip as well, the same connections. Raced the half-sister who didn't race at 2, but won a 6-furlong handicap at Lingfield on Polytrack as well earlier this year, so probably would suit, and the way that it went on debut for her, they'd be hoping for a bit better luck, but it wasn't to say there wasn't a fair bit of encouragement.
No, there definitely was. She was 5th, Electric was 4th. The way that race ran, the top 3 were the top 3, and Adace sort of went down to the inside cutaway. She's getting her saddle readjusted there from William Buick, and Electric sort of went down the outside and plugged on in fresh air, whereas George Bass just went to the cutaway, which at the time was a good place to be. That bias is sort of slowly coming undone. But I would actually say of the two, Adace, for me, a lot more progression.
Does that take into account the fact that I suppose it does, that Electric has been out since, has been to Wolverhampton, and it was no marked build-up?
Yeah. No. I mean, the thing was, she was really keen early on debut, and then she sat a lot more prominently last time and faded to be 7th at Wolverhampton. So I just wonder, was that a bit of a let the notch rain out, let her go a little bit forward, don't let her be keen? I'd be interested to see how Oisin Murphy decides to ride her today, considering that she's had 2 goes of it. The only horse that we think will go to the front is the 5-horse Fashion for Richard Hannon, basically because she went to the front and pulled her way up there and then faded last time out, albeit that was over the extended mile and a 16th at Wolverhampton. Big step back down to 6 furlongs today. That's a big
pedigree
move.
as well. Doesn't necessarily tell you everything, of course, does it?
No.
But she is by Lope de Vega. She's had the 2 starts so far, and she's out of a mare who's a relative to the St Ledger third, Michelangelo. Yeah,
and also she's, if you want to keep the St Ledger thing going, she's the dam's a half to curious mind, who's the dam of this year's St Ledger winner, Galileo Chrome. So, yeah, the drop back to... I see why they went up to a mile and a 16th. And now you're back to 6, and there's Ledger winners and Ledger placed horses and cocked hat winners, etc. in the dam side pedigree, and, well, Lope de Vega, further the better.
And another to ping at you, who I did in the parade ring, was Liberty Bay.
Yes.
Who is, what, a 16-1 shot or so, 8-11 back Chakoya, then we go to Electric 4s, Adace 9-2, Fashion 14-1. Liberty Bay very quickly, I think, ran better than the bare result.
I think at the price, if you wanted to have a bit of fun, she'd be the price play.
A 2-year-old fillies novice, 4-1 Electric. Adace is 9-2, 14-1 Bar. That trio.
Thank you very much, Richard. Good afternoon. Enjoyed the first winner here. That was Operatic, who was doing so under a penalty. That was Division 1 of this race. Division 2 sees Chakoya, who is the most experienced with a rating of 82, second over course and distance a couple of starts back. She's had a really good break, in fact longer than her racing career to date, as Rachel Condelora pointed out, since her run in the Princess Margaret Stakes at the back end of July.
Yeah, the interesting thing to note is we see Oisin Murphy's gotten off Electric, who's not really helping the stalls handlers going into the gate, was that Chakoya, who I was here to see back in July when she ran second in Kempton, she has strengthened up quite markedly in the 2 months she's been off the track, as you'd expect for 2-year-old fillies this time of year, but she's not the small, spindly filly she was 2 months ago. She's still small, but she is bulked up and filled out from the muscle tone. Electric is giving the stalls handlers a bit of worry now, having to come back from that disappointing run at Wolverhampton last time. The other one with form, a day, she finished 5th here on her course and distance debut. Electric's gone in, and I think she's got to be one of the more progressive horses in here, but a rating of 82 for Chakoya, she probably has to run to a rating of 70, 75 to win this, considering the form in the books.
Okay, and goes Sealed Offer in the Cheveley Park Silks, who was 7th on debut at Yarmouth a couple of weeks ago, over 6 furlongs. Out of the 90-rated Royal Seal, a very well-bred filly from a good Cheveley Park family, as we will expect, knowing the connection. So Chakoya, who's had that good break, a rating of 82, bids to make it 4th time lucky. There's the private battle between Electric and Adace, 4th and 5th respectively, when they met a couple of starts ago in the case of Electric, but on debut for Adace. So with that in mind, race 2, we'll rejoin Anthony Ennis for the call.
Thank you, Nick. Chakoya is going to complete the lineup. The favourites. In she goes. Handler away, we are ready. And they're off. All jumped away okay for the 32red.com British Stallion Stars EBF Fillies Novice Stakes Division 2. Breaking quite well towards the inside, Liberty Bay, the blue and pink with the white cap. Electric broke well too, the light blue colours. Very wide, Chakoya with the white face, looking for some cover, trying to tuck in a bit now, but just pushed along early on. As up front, they're going pretty quick, these two. Liberty Bay and Electric really trapping on ahead of Purple Poppy. Sealed Offer is next. Behind them on the inside is Anna of Savoy, and they're being tracked by Fashion, the yellow cap. Out wider is Chakoya, the blue and yellow. 2 lengths back to Adace, the striped sleeves, hooped cap, and the blue at the back of Lucky Ava as they make the turn and head inside the final 3 furlongs. Electric on the outside, the pale blue, is now trying to challenge the horse on the far side, Liberty Bay, who still has the lead. In behind, Chakoya's under a ride, out wider for Andrea Razzeni as they race down for the final furlong. Here comes Chakoya, though, making up ground quickly on the outside, and Chakoya all of a sudden has come there looming large to hit the front now, and Chakoya is bounding away. It's all over. Chakoya really lengthening that stride now in the final furlong. She's bounding away. The race is for placings, involving Liberty Bay, Sealed Offer and Purple Poppy running a big one, but Chakoya gets off the mark for Hugo Palmer and Andrea Razzeni. Close for second. In the centre, Sealed Offer maybe, with far side Liberty Bay, and back in 4th was Purple Poppy, who showed some definite promise.
It'll be interesting to see how that all materialised for Chakoya, because she was a few wide on the bend, but once she hit that home straight, she's absolutely galloped them into the ground. The 82 rated Chakoya with 3 runs to her name, who'd run in the Princess Margaret, a good second over course and distance actually on start 2, and given a good bit of time, has quickened up with a bit of purpose and has galloped them into submission here. It was tight for the Miners. Sealed Offer on second start, running on. Liberty Bay, who was a big price on debut, who actually ran better than the price probably suggested, has run well again, giving best to the winner, but they all had to, who has come home in quite some style, Rachel.
Yeah, that was really taking, especially considering from the start you would have said, well, if you've taken the price, you're a little bit worried, as we're going to see in a minute. She breaks from stall 6, breaks well enough. Actually, you wouldn't think this is a 2-year-old fillies race, because they all broke mostly professionally. Interesting, though, that Fashion, who went to the front last time, is one of the last ones out of the gate. And you just look for the big white blaze of the eventual winner, Chakoya, on wide, 3 or 4 wide on the outside, a little bit keen, desperately trying to get in and get a little bit of cover. Just so mark her up. She was wide throughout. Purple Poppy, another one who wide throughout, finished 4th in the end. That was a huge improvement from her. And the winners in behind, a little bit just keen, wanting to get out. And Andrea Razzeni, absolutely fine, keep her in. There's 2 3/4 furlong stretch here once you actually hit the straight, and she just proved that she is classier and more experienced than everybody else in here. Whereas Liberty Bay, as we said, unfortunately on Extra, so people on the main channel probably didn't hear, we gave this one
there in the record somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, with the few people watching Extra. But I mean, we gave her a huge credit because she was on purpose by John Fahey last time at Wolverhampton, kept really wide, potentially out of the kickback, and it was interesting today that David Probert, nobody else really wanted to go forward, and he sort of hustled her up to get her out there. I don't know if she's got a problem with kickback or got a problem with other horses around her, but that was a truly improved performance to be third. And the second horse, Sealed Offer, that was a much better performance, considering she actually hit a pretty bad flat spot. She was going to the cutaway, and I thought, oh, she's making a move. Oh, she's going backwards, and all of a sudden she kicked and stayed on again to get that minor placing. As we said, she's related to the dam's a full sister to Queen's Trust, who won the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare's Turf over 1 mile and 3. In the way that she run this, I would suggest that potentially longer in time will be in her wheelhouse. But maybe people will say that the second and the fourth or the third and the fourth kind of maybe put paid to this form, but I think both of them have claims, particularly on this track. But again, another impressive winner, another impressive winning filly off after the back of Operatic. Yeah,
hands heels, she's absolutely scooted away. The private battle between two of the more prominent fancied fillies in the market, ones that met before Electric, who was up with the pace, who was causing a little bit of trouble going into the stalls to begin with, and a Dace who wasn't up with the pace today. Both had met before, a Dace running on a bit, but obviously neither a match for the winner, but neither trouble in the minor money either.
No, that was a bit disappointing from those two, but I mean, the great thing now is, well, one was already qualified for nurseries if they asked for a rating, and now the other one is, and potentially that might be where their futures at this point fall.
OK, we waited a little while to see her, Chakoya. She was obviously very well found in the market. We hadn't seen her, Richard, since the 26th of July, and as Rachel pointed out beforehand, the career of her, the time of her racing career so far is a little bit shorter than the time she's been off, but I'm sure for all connected, worth the wait to get her back tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure so, in the colours of Christopher Wright, and continuing what's been a really good couple of weeks for Hugo Palmer. Certainly a lot better form for that yard than when we last saw Chakoya. The 8-11 market leader, beating 16-1 chance Sealed Offer and 18-1 in third for Liberty Bay. 6 lengths was the winning margin of that second race at Kempton. A reminder that we're